Good morning, Mr. Kraft.
Good morning.
Aaron Hernandez signed with the Patriots as a professional football player. I think you said your memory is around 2010 or 2011. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's fine, sir. And do you recall where Aaron had played college football?
Yes.
Where was that, sir?
At Florida.
And at the University of Florida, sir?
Wherever Urban Meyer, I always get them mixed up. Yeah.
And do you recall that the University of Florida won the national championship in 2009?
Yes.
Under Coach Meyer?
Yes.
And with Aaron Hernandez on that team?
Yes.
And do you recall that in 2009, Aaron Hernandez was a first-team All-American at Florida?
Yes.
Do you recall that in 2009, Aaron won the John Mackey Award as the best tight end in college football?
Oral.
Do you want me to answer
You
that?
may answer.
I don't follow all those details. I knew he was very good.
And when Aaron signed with the Patriots, do you recall that he had a productive rookie season, a successful rookie season, sir?
Yes.
And that was followed by another season where your team, the Patriots, went to the Super Bowl. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And Aaron was part of that team.
Yes.
Now, when you and Aaron would see each other, you had a bit of a special greeting, didn't you?
Yes.
And what was that, sir?
Well, he would always hug and kiss me.
And after that Super Bowl season, your organization made an investment in Aaron, didn't it?
Yes.
Specifically, in August of 2012, the New England Patriots signed Aaron to a long-term contract, didn't they?
Yes.
And that contract was to run through the 2018 season. Is that right?
Yes.
And the maximum...
I'm not sure. I don't know if there were options involved, so I don't remember the details.
Is your memory exhausted on that subject, sir, as far as the length of that contract?
No, I'm not questioning the length. I think that very often during contracts, we have options to continue or not continue.
Do you recall that the contract itself, however, contemplated when signed that it would run through the 2018 season?
I don't get into the details, so I just knew we signed them.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Kraft, I'm going to show you a document and just ask you to take a look at a page which has been marked N000015, in particular paragraph 5. It's just on the topic of whether a contract signed by the New England Patriots and Aaron contemplated him being a member of the Patriots through the 2018 season. See if that refreshes your memory, sir.
My memory isn't to be refreshed because I don't get into this. I okay it when it's brought to me. But there are details beyond this that I can't say that I'm an expert on the terms and conditions. I know we signed him to a long-term contract.
Thank you, sir. Do you know why the organization signed him to a long-term contract, Mr. Kraft?
He's a very good player.
Now, do you remember Aaron signing this contract in August of 2012?
I don't.
Do you remember that shortly after he signed the contract, Aaron personally gave you a check for $50,000 to the Myra Kraft Giving Back Fund?
Objection sustained.
Now, directing your attention to June 19th, sir, as Mr. McCauley did, 2013, you were at Gillette Stadium, is that right, sir?
Yes.
And you saw all the media assembled there, isn't that right?
Yes.
And the media coverage at that point was nonstop and it was extensive, isn't that right?
Yes.
And that bothered you. To have media attention like that at your
Yes.
state. So you decided to go and speak to Aaron, correct?
Yes.
And you found Aaron in the weight room, isn't that right?
Yes.
And by being in the weight room in the off season, Aaron was doing his job, wasn't he?
He was training.
And you asked to speak with him just off the weight room, is that right?
Yes.
Now, you personally had never had any problems with Aaron, had you?
No.
And so you went into the office of, I think you said Mr. Cabrera, is that right, sir?
Yes.
And the two of you sat down and had a conversation.
Yes.
That was a private conversation, correct?
Yes.
There was no one else there.
No.
You didn't take any notes of that conversation, correct?
No.
Was it fair to say, sir, that that conversation and the situation was something you'd never dealt with before?
Yes.
And so you spoke to Aaron, and you don't remember the exact words of that conversation, do you, sir?
Vaguely.
And you asked Aaron to look you in the eye, didn't you?
Yes.
And he did, didn't he?
Yes.
And you asked him if he was involved, and he said no.
That's correct.
And you wanted him to be straight with you, didn't you?
Yes.
And you wanted to be straight with him, correct?
Yes.
And you told him you would support him, didn't you?
Yes.
And Aaron told you he had nothing to do with this, isn't that right?
He said he was innocent.
Didn't he say he was completely innocent?
I don't recall exactly the words.
But the subject of Aaron being at a club came up, didn't it, sir?
Only in the context of what I said.
And didn't Aaron tell you he had been at a club with Odin Lloyd?
No.
You said you couldn't remember.
Let me. I honestly, I don't remember that. He might have. I don't remember.
And I think you testified on direct examination, sir, that that you believe he said a club, but you weren't sure where the location of that club.
That's correct.
If I said the name Club Rumor, does that help at all in your memory?
No.
Now, sir, as you spoke with Mr. Hernandez, Aaron, you asked him if he knew Odin Lloyd, didn't you?
Yes.
And Aaron,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I did. I honestly don't recall. What was that, almost 3 years ago?
may I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Kraft, I'm just going to show you a document. I believe it's the same document Mr. McCauley showed you. And on this topic of whether you recall asking him if he knew Mr. Lloyd, I just asked you to read to yourself this line here.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Does that refresh your memory, sir, of whether you asked Mr. Hernandez if he knew Odin Lloyd?
Yes. Okay.
And Aaron explained that Odin was the boyfriend of Aaron's fiance's sister. Is that right?
Yes.
And Aaron told you that he and Odin had socialized together, didn't he?
My main focus was understanding whether he was involved or not.
No, I understand, sir.
And what I could do to help him. I didn't.
I'm going to strike that answer. If you could listen carefully to the question, just answer the question that's being asked.
All right.
So my question, Mr. Kraft, is just simply, I was asking whether you recall that Aaron told you that he and Odin Lloyd spent time together socializing or socially.
Yes.
He did tell you that.
You're showing me what I said. It's not something I focused on.
That's perfectly understandable, sir. I just wanted to refresh your memory and ask you if you recall that. So as you testify here today, do you recall Aaron telling you that he and Mr. Lloyd socialized together?
I honestly can't recall that.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. I'm just going to show you that same document. I'm just going to direct your attention to this sentence, which ends here. This is, you recognize this document, sir. Just take a look at that, read it to yourself.
Yeah.
Just, all you need to know, sir, all you need to do is read that, sir, and I'll put another question to you. Thank you. Sir, having seen that document, does it refresh your recollection that on June 19th, Aaron had told you that he and Mr. Lloyd had spent time together socially?
Yeah, that's what it says, what I
Right.
said, but I didn't know, that was a general statement in my mind that they spent time socially.
Your Honor, I move to strike the answer after yes.
Everything after S, yes is what it's stricken.
Now, the conversation you had with Aaron, Mr. Kraft, lasted about 5 or 10 minutes, you testified?
Yes.
And at any time did anyone else join you?
No.
And at the end of that conversation, you and Aaron shook hands, didn't you?
I thought he hugged and kissed me. We might have shaken hands too.
Well, at the end of that conversation, Aaron hugged and kissed you, didn't he?
Yes.
And that was customary for you. That was the customary sort of exchange that you two had, isn't it?
Yes.
Sir, isn't it true that when Aaron was at the stadium, he was always respectful to you, wasn't he?
Yes.
And from your perspective, sir, when Aaron was at the stadium while he was with the Patriots, he always carried himself well and respectfully.
Objection. Sustained.
You had no reason, no experience, Mr. Kraft, with any problems with Aaron, did you?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.